again, welcome to the Press Club, and let me ask you about press freedom, very important issue for us all. I should, full disclosure, my colleague, Vivek Raghuvanshi, was arrested several weeks ago and charged with and accused of espionage. He's an Indian citizen. And what does that, he's been working for my company for more than 30 years and as a journalist. And I wanted to ask you what that says about the state of press freedom in India when someone, can be just accused of, even after, if someone with such a reputation can be accused in such a cavalier manner.
No, I think the fact that there is a weakening of press freedoms, this is not hidden. I mean, everybody knows it. It's apparent in India. The rest of the world can see it. And I think press freedom is very, very critical for a democracy. I mean, one should be open to criticism, and one should listen to criticism. I mean, that's the feedback loop that builds democracies. And definitely, there is a weakening of press freedom. I mean, and it's not just press freedom. It's on multiple axes. On multiple axes, there is a clampdown on the institutional framework that allowed India to talk, that allowed the Indian people to negotiate. I view India as a negotiation between its people, between different languages, different cultures, different histories. Mm-hmm. And the architecture that Mahatma Gandhi set up was to allow that negotiation to be carried out fairly and freely. And that structure that allows the negotiation between India's people is coming under pressure. I mean, this is a question you should ask Mr. Modi. So, more apt.
Okay.
I don't know how you'll get there.
As soon as we get him here.
I don't know how you'll get there, but yeah, I think it would be better question directed at him.
I'm going to ask about Kashmir. India is positioning Kashmir as a tourist destination, while certain populations are persecuted. Do you see this as the path to prosperity for that region?
No, I think everybody in India has a democratic right. Every single person in India should be allowed to be part of the conversation. I think there are things that can be improved in Jammu and Kashmir with regards to that conversation, and we are committed to improving the conversation, the democratic conversation in Jammu and Kashmir.
It says you talked about secularism and democracy while opposing the Hindu party BJP. However, Congress in Kerala has been in alliance with the Muslim party, Muslim League in Kerala, the state from which you were MP for more than, the state you are the MP for more than 70 years.
Muslim League is a completely secular party.
Right.
There's nothing non-secular about the Muslim League.
Questions are a little disjointed. Sorry about that.
I think the person hasn't studied the Muslim League. If India starts manufacturing, starts producing, it will start to export as well, right? I think there is a opportunity for India to successfully compete with the Chinese on manufacturing. We might not end up doing it the way they do it. So we might not end up having huge factories. We might end up having smaller factories with high technology embedded in them. So the system will probably look different, but the end result would be similar, that we would compete with China and you would see made in China and you would see made in India.
Mm-hmm. Can you do it without more Chinese investment? Is there enough money coming in from elsewhere?
Yeah, no, that's where the India-US relationship should be looking. I mean, that to me is what the conversation should be.
From your perspective, has the relationship with Russia changed since the war in Ukraine began?
I think in some ways it might have. Yeah, I think it might have changed in some ways. But there is a old historic relationship with the Russians. And, we buy weapons from them. So there are also those type of reasons for this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I don't think a Congress government would be dramatically different than what the BJP is doing right now in terms of Russia.
The way you were disqualified from parliament and what is happening in Pakistan, do you see any similarities here, and what does that say about politics in the region?
I don't know. I mean, look, as you said, I asked a rhetorical question. I asked the question, why, well, you described it.
Right.
I'm fighting a court case, so I have to be careful. But I asked a rhetorical question. And I'm the first person in India to be given the highest punishment for a defamation case. It's the first case, I'm the first person in Indian history since 1947. Right? Nobody has been given the maximum sentence on defamation, and that too on the first offense. Right? So that should explain what's going on to you. Mm-hmm. And my disqualification happens, quite interestingly, after I make a speech about Mr. Adani in Parliament. So you can do the math.
Mm-hmm. How united is the opposition in India, and why isn't Congress supporting Kejriwal in on the ordinance issue?
No, that's an internal discussion we are having. The opposition is pretty well united, and I think it's getting more and more united. We are having conversations with all the opposition, mm-hmm. And I think quite a lot of good work is happening there.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a complicated discussion because there are spaces where we are competing also with the opposition. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit of give and take is required, but I'm confident that will happen.
You have said that Modi's BJP engages in the politics of hatred and violence. Can you explain what you mean by this?
I mean, it's explained in the sentence, right? They sort of generate a certain amount of hatred in society. They polarize society, and they're not inclusive. They don't embrace everybody. And they divide society. That's what that's. Yeah, and that's damaging in my view to India, because India has always had a tradition of conversation, of openness. All our great leaders, spiritual, political, Mahatma Gandhi, Buddha, all of them promoted harmony, promoted peace, promoted conversation. So it's in our culture, it's in our history to sort of bring people together and have these dialogues. So that's I think it's a difference in ideology between us and the BJP. Mm-hmm. We feel India should be allowed to express itself, and we feel that political leaders should be comfortable in sort of being questioned. And should learn from that questioning. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's just a difference in viewpoint.
Are there particular policies that are cause for concern or that should be changed?
I think the central difference between how we see it and how the BJP sees it is we believe in decentralization of power. We believe in supporting the small and medium industries. And we believe that they are the engine of growth in India. Mm-hmm. And they tend to concentrate power and wealth in few limited people. So that's, I would say, broadly, that's the difference in the economic perspective.
Okay. If your party were to return to power, what changes would it seek to implement to ensure the rights of minorities in India?
I mean, India has a very robust system already in place. That system has been weakened right? But it's not that that system doesn't exist. If the conversation, the democratic conversation is allowed to be fostered, then these issues will settle themselves.
So the rule of law is in place. It just perhaps isn't
No,
followed.
it's you have to have an independent set of institutions that are not pressurized and controlled, and that's been the norm in India. This is an aberration. What is taking place in India. So, from our perspective, the foundations of democracy in India are very strong. And the protections exist, but they're being sort of disturbed.
But please write them on the cards provided and hand them before. Shouted questions will not be picked up by our microphones, and if you disturb this proceeding, we will be escorted out. So just want to make that clear. Okay, so since Mr. Modi has come to power, India's economy has improved, according to independent economic assessments. What's your take on the current government's economic policies? Have they improved the country's position?
I mean, what we see on the ground is massive unemployment and dramatic increase in prices. And this is one of the reasons we won the Karnataka election, was that there was a feeling in India that there is a set of people who have a huge amount of wealth, and then there's a large mass of Indian people who are poor and struggling. Huge income disparities and unemployment. I think it's a 40-year high for unemployment. So to say that the economy is doing well, I don't quite agree with it.